stuck on Band-Aid, 'cause Band-Aid stuck on me.
Remember, only Johnson & Johnson makes Band-Aid brand adhesive bandages with the unique Super Stick adhesive. Depend on the protection of America's #1 bandage.
I am stuck on Band-Aid, 'cause Band-Aid stuck on me.
Terry Garr and John Travolta, years and years ago. I got my coffee. I'm ready to roll, man.
I'm stuck on coffee because coffee's stuck on me. Hey, hey, hey.
Long time no see. Who we got here?
Yeah.
We got
Yeah, no,
7
it's-
people already, but no comments are coming through yet.
It's been about what? It's been about 15 minutes. As
I
a
know.
matter of fact.
Yeah. Something like that. Let's see. Let's get the comments coming through here somehow. They're got to be coming. Oh, no, they block them. You know, I didn't even think about while we were doing the last live in the book chat. I didn't think about playing Mary, Mary and Spirit in the Sky that I could get blocked. I was playing through, so after you were through, I got a notification. Your copyright claims on Mary, Mary and Spirit in the Sky.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, there's Lori.
Hey, hey, hey.
Oh my God. You definitely fixed that sound card. Hello, guys. Hello, Satin. Show that.
Hello, ladies.
Dolores, welcome aboard. Purple Green. Third show on Sunday. Yeah, are you gonna be able to make it? Because that's like at 3 a.m. in the morning for you, I believe, on Monday morning. Well,
The early one catches the bird.
there's Susan. Hello, Susan. Dolores. We're up to 12 already. We got a cool movie today to watch. And for those of you that were with us earlier, thanks a lot. We had fun on the book chat. And then the Inside the Studio. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I missed that one. Sorry, guys. I ran into a bit of technical issues after the last show. My sound on the computer died.
Yeah, so he was trying to get that fixed before this show. And I mean, I heard it snap while we were doing the book chat. You know, I heard the pop. And,
Oh, did you? Because I didn't
Yeah,
hear
well,
it.
it came through here, and I think that may be one of the reasons why I'm getting that static. They was starting to do that. I think you're right about it coming from your sound card, but we'll see. I mean, so far so good, but it only happens when you're talking. So that's why I'm thinking it's coming from your sound card through the system. And
It might have.
anyway,
It might have been a driver issue because these things update in the background. Because I was at one stage, you were coming through loud and clear like normal. I had the full spectrum, and then the next minute I had no bass. I just had high end, and I thought,
Lori, third shift. Has everyone eaten, taken a nap? Hope so.
no,
Haven't eaten, took a little nap. Um,
haven't eaten.
Hey,
I
there's
was,
Valerie. Hello, Valerie.
oh, that's nice to see.
Yeah,
Um,
good
I
to
um.
see you.
I was planning to make food after the last show, but as I say, my computer decided otherwise. So I had to get that sorted. Otherwise, and I'm not very fluent in sign language, so I wouldn't have been able to communicate if I would have had. I have no idea. All I know is this.
Oh, I said hi. My name is Rick Lowe. How are you? I am
Oh,
fine.
maybe that's what you need to start teaching me sign language.
Why? So we can sign back and forth, or is it, what's that? That's brilliant.
All I know is this.
Yeah.
In South Africa, that means I have no food. I'm hungry.
Yeah. I signed with my brother, but we had kind of our own sign language, but I need to practice it more. Maybe I should start a class. Maybe I ought to do a class online, teach how to do sign language. That'd be kind of cool. All right. So, hi guys, everyone. I'm having a PBJ. Oh, I would so much love to have a PBJ sandwich.
What the hell's that?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, okay.
God, I haven't had peanut butter. I'm on a low carb. I've been eating low carb, and it really works well for me because for those go back to one of my first videos and take a look at me, and then now, and you'll see the difference. I've lost 100 pounds in the last 3 years, and so my face is shrunken down and all that. But I did it by just cutting out. You know, I eat chicken loins, and I have hamburger, and I do all my meals. I eat a lot of broccoli and cheese, and which works pretty good because I'm in my room alone, so it doesn't bother anybody. That broccoli. Let's see. Let me find that. So, well, who we got? We got 14 people. We got Lori. We got Purple Green. I'm glad to see her. I'm glad to see everybody. It was nice to do a time when she said it was 7 a.m. for her. So I figured she'd be able to give. I'll give him only one sign language to who we know who. Okay. Yeah. All right. So had a blast on the book chat today. I really enjoying that, and there was some good advice from everybody about just keeping it the way it is. I think it was Cat Girl Blue that suggested it, and maybe a couple other people. Susan, I think too. I think we're going to keep with the schedule we have now. We're going to keep them permanent, and that's the way it's going to be. And well, hopefully we start building up some viewers. But I'm not for the viewership. I'm for the good conversation, because to be honest with you, I know this sounds kind of anti-YouTube, but the more the viewers, the harder it is to keep a good conversation going because everybody's in there, and you got to try to stay up on top, and you miss somebody. And that's why I always try to go through because I don't really want to miss anybody. But also, too, it's nice to have a good crowd and get a lot of different viewpoints. So,
Yeah, I think the group size now is nice because it's not difficult to keep everything going. Because, like you said, the greater
oh,
the group, the wider the dynamic.
look who's joining us, Kyle. my 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 partner in what does it call it? What do you call it? Torture. My partner in torture. We get freaking tortured. What we've done,
Fake.
Kyle, is just to let you know, is that we, as we were talking about earlier, we've been very silent, and we keep silent on this channel. I mean, right now, I'll say hello to Carolyn and Jane because I know they watch and they report back. But you know, we keep silent when they come in here and they make a comment like that. We ignore them. We just flat out ignore them, you know, and we just give them one of these.
Ignore that fool in the chat.
So just to let you know, you haven't been on here for a while, but Susan, hello, Susan. Yeah, it's a safe zone here for everybody. So we have fun. But I'm glad you joined us. We're gonna play. And I know Kyle's seen this before, but we're gonna play "The Echo Will Never Die," and it'd be nice to be able to watch a group and chat about it while we're doing it. So we've been doing some live documentary, and it's been fun. But Kyle and I've started a Instagram page, and Kyle started a new Facebook page, Defending Elvis. So it's it's going to be all the positive stuff. It's all about positive stuff, and then it'll drive. The best way to fight is to ignore, and so it's been some good advice. So anyway, what we were talking about is that we enjoy the conversation. The book chat I was just thrilled about. We have fun. Everybody gets into it, and we really appreciate it. We had some great viewers come in and some great comments and quite a bit of laughter. We had fun. Yeah, Susan, we need good distractions, and so what we're gonna do. Quality is more important than quantity. Yeah, perfect. That's what I try to say is, if I've got 25 viewers here or 20 viewers and it's a great conversation, as opposed to having 100 viewers and no conversation going on, I'll take the 20 any day because the conversation is great any day. I'm not so much about, I'm way far further than on subscribers than I ever dreamed I would be. And it's nice to see, but I'm more about the quality, like Valerie said. it's more about the quality of what we do, and hopefully, I think we put out a pretty good quality product. Just like like Kyle does. Kyle's got EP Fan Archive channel, and it's some cool stuff. He's got some cool AI stuff he's been putting out too. I haven't figured that stuff out yet. I could do the Photoshop of my own videos, but I haven't been able to create videos yet. So let's go ahead and get the movie started. Let's kick back down to this scene. 1984's Elvis Presley, The Echo Will Never Die. Casey Kasem did this production. I don't know if it was probably for TV because it was Casey Kasem. And for those of you who don't know Casey Kasem, back in the 70s and the 80s, and maybe even further back than that, he had a show every Sunday, the top 40 songs from that week for Billboard. And
Yeah, we used to get it here when I was a kid. Every Saturday for like 4 hours, one of our local stations used to simulcast it here, and I remember as a kid I used to listen to it all the time.
I
He
just,
had a very he had a really cool radio voice too, though.
yeah, he did. He really did. And he was married to a really beautiful actress for one of the shows, but that all kind of, when he passed away, there was just a lot of turmoil about his body and his will and all kinds of stuff. It was just a nightmare. But I loved his show. I was there every Sunday. It came on at 10 o'clock. And it was a great show. You got to hear the top 40 for the week.
Oh, just before we jump in case we forget, if it does happen, guys, that we get bumped off, just hold in there.
Yeah, hang
We
in there for a
will
second because I'll come right back in. We've been very lucky in not getting
be
bumped off
lucky.
on the documentaries. But go ahead, Kim.
You're right. We have been lucky, but I'm just saying, if it does happen, guys, just hold out there. It usually takes about 10 to 15 seconds, and we're back. So if it does happen, just hold out.
I didn't know Ryan Seacrest took that over.
Oh, the American Top 40? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
A lot of AI discussions. I'll have to check that out too. I haven't done as many of my shorts lately. I want to. I hate saying shorts, but I want to. I'm trying. I actually downloaded or created an account with Chat GPT. I know nothing about it. No, I'll just see all this stuff, and I thought I'll take a little bit into it. So let's get to the documentary, and we'll stop and talk about it as we go. Da, stream, open. Have you seen?
First of all, I plead innocent of all charges.
That's right. The man is the man. So let me fit this in here like I do. Chat will be below the screen. And if everybody's ready, let's watch a little bit of Echo.
I read comic books and I was the hero of the comic book. I saw movies and I was the hero in the movie. So every dream that I ever dreamed has
They
come
cleaned
true.
up this footage nice.
Yeah.
And these gentlemen over here, you see these type people who care, who are dedicated. You realize it is not possible that they might be building the kingdom of heaven. It's not too far-fetched in reality. I'd like to say that I learned very early in life that without a song, the day would never
Let
end.
me get that out of the way.
Without a song, a man ain't got a friend. Without a song, the road would never bend. Without a song. So I'll keep singing the song.
So
The
true.
one man who stands alone in the history.
Yeah, Lori, I'm going to show that on tomorrow's stream.
He was the biggest, and to many, he was the best. He shook the world of music by his
There's that
very
voice, man.
foundation,
Casey
and
Kasem.
paid the highest price for his success. I'm Casey Kasem. Over the years, I've experienced the world of rock and roll from the inside. I've seen stars come and go, but I have never seen anyone who matched the impact of Elvis Presley. His life was one of extremes: the rebel, the consummate performer, the prisoner of his own demons. We'll see
Hey,
why
C-Cat.
as we examine the way he lived,
Hey,
the
C-Cat.
way he died. I want you to experience firsthand the kingdom of the king of rock and roll. Elvis may be gone, but the echo will never die.
No, he's not. He's very much still here.
Yep. I've never seen this part of this.
I've never seen this period.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
No.
great people.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis was born into poverty in the town of Tupelo, Mississippi. While still a child, he moved with his family to Memphis, Tennessee. His young years were etched by the music of the region, and that music fed him the energy and the spirit that took the world by storm. He became a giant with unparalleled speed. He was a teenager thrust into international stardom. He became a legend, created by those who loved and protected him and were moved by his music. Yet, he was perceived as a threat to those who resented him and what he stood for. Elvis was controversial from the beginning, a mystery. For more than 2 decades, his magic created excitement wherever he went. Elvis was a simple man whose life became complex. He was the king of rock and roll. And
You look so
loved
good there.
being Elvis Presley.
Elvis was the first man, individually, to have that sex appeal.
And he was a very good-looking man. And I love good-looking men.
If you're looking for trouble, boom, 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 came to the right place. Boom, 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 boom. If you're looking for trouble, boom, 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 look right in my face.
Welcome to Memphis and welcome to Elvis Presley.
We've been sober for about 1.5 years now, bit of a struggle.
Where do you want him to go?
Vive Elvis, vive la France.
Vive l'Amérique.
Okay. And vive l'Amérique.
I'm the president of the Swedish fan club and arrange a trip every year for the Scandinavian Elvis fans.
私たちはエルヴィスを愛しています。
This is
My
the first,
goodness.
Publicity shot of Elvis Presley. 310 up front.
I guess it does look crazy to everybody. But it's because they don't feel it and they don't understand it.
Oh, you're welcome, Lori.
Includes a guided tour through Graceland Mansion.
Who's the fastest entertainer in the world?
I'm so jealous.
That's a long intro. I guess
I've never written a song. I wish I could.
yeah, this must have been a TV production because it was a commercial break.
I wish I was like some of my rivals. Those guys there, they're pretty.
You know, Satin. I'm going to pause this every once in a while. That's what we usually do. I don't do much of it, but that's a good point, Satin. You know, you think about it. Can anybody name another artist that people from other countries would book groups and large groups of people to come out and see Elvis in Vegas or any place anywhere else, or follow him around for a while? Pretty much everybody else was touring, but still, I can't think of anybody else that would have that kind of a draw. That okay, I can't see him here. I will save my money for 3 years to go see him in Vegas and sock away every dollar I can and spend airfare and all hotels and the tickets and all that. The tickets were the cheapest thing. Back then the tickets for Elvis were anywhere from $10 to $15. Vegas was $25 for the dinner show. I don't know what it was for the midnight show because I only went to the dinner show, and it was $25 with a meal. That's
Back then,
huge.
back then, $25 was a lot of money. Well, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, I used to deliver. What was I? How was I? 14. Yeah, I was delivered papers, and my dad surprised me with them anyways because he knew that if he told me when he booked for the summer festival in August, when my mom and him went to see him in February because they wanted to see him to make sure the show was going to be okay for me to see, even though we had seen that's the way it is, So he didn't tell me I was going to see Elvis until a week before.
Wow.
And then he told me, only reason why he told me that far in advance, because he found out that a buddy of mine and I had tickets to go see Neil Diamond the same night.
Oh.
So I had my choice, Neil Diamond or Elvis. Well, hello.
Hello.
But those tickets for Neil Diamond was the Hot August Night concert.
Oh.
So I got the concert anyways.
Yeah.
Got it, so it was kind of cool.
You don't have the ticket stub, do you?
I didn't go. Somebody else went.
Oh, that would have been cool if
Yeah,
you
I
could
didn't
get
go.
a ticket stub.
Yeah, no. My friend sold the tickets to someone else. So, I didn't think about getting it from him afterwards. But anyway.
I did good to get out of high school,
I think he saw, when he was growing up, he saw that the black people in the South had a certain feel for music.
Absolutely.
And I think he just loved that music and wanted to put it across in his way, because until Elvis Presley, nobody was doing that, only black people, And I think he heard it and liked it. It rubbed off on him, and he felt that he had something to give the world, and nothing was going to stop him.
This is Beale Street, the home of the blues. W.C. Handy wrote St. Louis Blues and Memphis Blues right here.
David Marsh,
David Marsh.
noted journalist, pop critic, and music historian.
He wrote a good book
He's a
about Elvis.
recognized authority on Elvis.
Elvis used to sing back on that corner back there at two clubs called the Paradise and the Handy Club. And in those days, he was the only white boy singing the blues. Elvis wanted to be a great singer in a lot of ways. He wanted to be a blues singer mostly, I think. That was what his real talent was to do. And he admired people like Howlin' Wolf, I guess, and Junior Parker, Roy Brown, the great rhythm and blues and blues singers of that period. As well, he sang with gospel choirs and stuff like that all around town, black churches and white churches both, which not very many kids did then.
Like most black people in the South.
Brewster.
Reverend Brewster.
And to whose fruit God has pressed down a harp of 1,000 strings that only needed tuning. Elvis's voice was that type of voice that agreed with the thought of Calvary.
I could sit and listen to him talk for a while.
Yeah.
Great voice.
Yeah.
That church
Southern gospel.
real clear.
Elvis always loved gospel singers, and his musical inspiration came from gospel songs, the kind of music he sang often in church as a young boy. It remained a major influence throughout his career.
That's where I think most of us get that feeling of wanting to let loose, just let go. And that was one of the things that Elvis liked. And I think this is one of the things that most people, especially fellas, I think, used to think that he was doing that to show off for the ladies. But really, this was just Elvis. That's the feeling that he had. He loved to do it.
He was a bundle of energy set to music. And that echo will never die.
So long
Hell yeah, you're right, brother.
players to the top 10, but Elvis was serious about his singing. What he needed was a break. And that break came when he met Sam Phillips, owner of the legendary Sun Records in Memphis.
And together with Scotty Moore and Bill Black, they woodshedded for hours and days and months in the studio and finally came up with a record called That's All Right, Mama, which has all that ease and freedom and passion. And when Dewey Phillips played it on WHBQ here in Memphis on his Red Hot and Blue show, that was it. People went berserk.
Elvis eventually cut 5 singles for Sun Records and hit the road, touring nonstop. The explosion had begun, and it was too much for Sam Phillips and his small Sun label to handle. Enter Colonel Tom Parker, who'd come up the ranks of carnivals and sideshows. What would work with audience. And in Elvis, he found his greatest act. He bought Elvis's contract for $35,000.
Turn left and cough there, Colonel.
The best buy in the history of rock and roll. It would make Tom Parker a millionaire many times over.
Since my baby left, well, I found a place to dwell. Well, it's down at the end of Lonely Street.
Hardborough Motel.
The Colonel and Elvis were a team made in heaven. The king of rock and roll and the master of promotion. Together, they were a gold mine bigger than the big time. But what's interesting to note is that as much as Elvis shook up the country, he never left Memphis.
Commercial break. I tell you what, I've seen the Echo Will Never Die on YouTube, different channels, but it's been chopped up from this.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen this with Casey Kasem in it, and now I'm glad I found this because it's even the quality of the picture's good, considering it's what 40 years old.
Well, I never thought much about it. In fact, I have never thought of marriage. I've never even thought of it. I'll say this much. I'm not thinking of it right now, but if I would decide to get married, it wouldn't be a secret. I mean, I'd let everybody know about it, but I have no plans for marriage. I have no specific loves, and I'm not engaged, or I'm not going steady with nobody or nothing like that.
Elvis traveled in the fast lane during his life, but he held very traditional attitudes about women. He worshipped his mother and was devastated by her death. His induction into the Army also caught him off guard, but ever the patriot, he put his career on hold and went off to Germany. There, he met Priscilla, his wife-to-be. She was the only woman who could come close to filling the void left by his mother. While he was in the service, Elvis always insisted on being just one of the boys.
Elvis, since you've been in the Army, have the boys given you kind of a rough time in the barracks because of your past career, would you say?
No, sir, I was very surprised. I've never met a better group of boys in my life.
I don't think so.
They probably would have if it'd been like everybody thought. I mean, everybody thought I wouldn't have to work and I would be given special treatment and this and that. But when they looked around and saw I was on KP and I was pulling guard and everything just like they were, well, they figured, well, it's just like us.
Have 2 years of sobering Army life changed your mind about rock and roll? Sobering Army life. No, it hasn't. It hasn't changed my mind because I was in tanks for a long time, you see. And they rock and roll quite a bit.
What was KP?
Elvis was an instant movie star. His crossover into films became a major media event. He did 4 before he was drafted in 1958 and eventually starred in 31 features. The first was Love Me Tender in 1956. His favorite was King Creole. He also did 2 concert films, a total of 33 movies. All were moneymakers. Elvis was first signed by producer Hal Wallace, who had more than 200 films to his credit, including Casablanca. He made 9 of the early Elvis pictures for Paramount. Musically, the 60s was a decade of decline for Elvis. The songs he recorded were soundtracks released with the movies, and often they didn't make much sense without the film. But he made $1 million a picture, a percentage of the profits, and still more from the records.
Elvis was a great entertainer, a great personality, someone who created a new style in music that revolutionized the music business. And that is what we bought when we bought him.
I was sort of called in by Hal Wallace and said, well, Ursula, you were with us for a year and you misbehaved, and here we have a picture which we would like you to do. It's with Elvis Presley. And the only way I knew Elvis was from television, because this was this new idol who was gonna, this hip-swinging lover with the guitar, and I said, oh my God.
Wasn't she the she was in Fun in Acapulco, right? Wasn't she the actress that Elvis said she was built too much like a man, or too tall, or she was taller than him, I guess, and more, I don't know, maybe I got it wrong. Anybody out there know? It just seemed to me like it was Ursula Andress.
And the first day I went to work, and here came over
mean-
this humble man, full of charm and love in his eyes, and kindness, and being so
Big bones.
considerate and warm that I was so surprised.
Congratulations.
Bravo.
That was just a reward from Dolores, that's all.
Can anybody get in the act?
Only the regular customers.
Hey, I'll go dive off a cliff.
Could have been exactly in the line of Marlon Brando
Yeah.
and James Dean.
I'd make a hell of a splash,
And he
too.
made 6 of his first 7 movies in that tradition. They were tough kid movies, kids with a chip on their shoulder, who hit out at life and at themselves and did a lot of damage. And when Presley was called upon to be bewildered or angry or vicious, he was absolutely believable on the screen. He was actually rather better at it than James Dean.
You're a pretty fancy performer, ain't you, kid?
Wait till you see what I do for an encore.
Now you know what I do for an encore. Come on, get out of here.
And as it was, we only see the potential Dean or Brando.
You know, I remember once, Pop, when I was no more than 3 feet high, you took me to the circus.
This is a good
You
scene.
accidentally bumped into some guy, and he turned around and punched you. He punched you right in the mouth, and you know what you did? Nothing. Nothing. When they swing at you, Pop, it's not enough to duck. You got to swing back. Maybe you can't anymore, but I'm not taking after you. You go to school. I'm going out and make a buck.
Somewhere along the line, the fates sold him down the river. Because Elvis could have been the best actor, young actor in the world, if they hadn't said, but right here we got to put in 3 musical numbers. Because he loved acting. He loved it, man. And I think what my personal opinion is, after doing the formula pictures, the Elvis Presley formula pictures, he just said, the hell with it. Because if they're going to keep me doing this, then ain't no sense in me making pictures no more. Because how many times can you keep doing the same story, whether it's in a harem, whether it's in a race car, whether it's on a farm? But you know, he did some, out of all the films, he did about 6 or 7 that I think he was proud of. And those of us who cared about him on a personal level said, yeah, man, he's cooking, you know.
The idea of tailoring Elvis for dramatic roles is something that we never attempted because we did not sign Elvis as a second Jimmy Dean. We signed him as a #1 Elvis Presley.
I can only assume that the management team that managed Elvis Presley, and that has to include the Hollywood moguls who produced the contracts that Colonel Tom Parker signed on Elvis's behalf, they all share the guilt. And it is guilt because they destroyed a potentially very interesting film career.
The most successful one was Blue Hawaii, which some of the carping critics found fault with, but it proved to be the most successful financially and in the response from his fans.
It's actually a pity that G.I. Blues and Blue Hawaii, the 2 most successful of his musicals, were so successful because their success cost him the opportunity to do good work in that his management could point at the balance sheet and say, well, you did Flaming Star and we only made $3 million. You did Blue Hawaii, we made $30 million. But of course, you kill the goose that lays the golden egg.
Most of his movies had a lot of singing, so many of the singles released in the 1960s were soundtracks, far different from the rock and roll that had made him the teen idol of the 50s.
I got a call from Elvis, actually Tom Diskin, I think it was.
Larry Morberg.
And he asked me if I could go to...
1969 Mahogany.
to do a movie with Elvis. Now, I didn't know whether that meant to play, to be in the movie, or whatever, but I shortly found out it was to play on the soundtrack. And then I found out that when you did soundtracks, you were also doing records at the same, the music in one day, possibly. usually we would come back and make some retakes because they weren't all perfect records by any means.
After the Army, the scores really went downhill, except for Doc Pomus and Mort Schumann, who wrote Viva Las Vegas score, which is real good. The rest of it was just awful. You had to sing things like Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce. That was a song title. Do the Clam. There was Song of the Shrimp. Just awful stuff. You couldn't believe that he would get up in the morning and be able to face doing it.
A lot of critics came down hard on Elvis for the music that came out of these movies. It wasn't the pure rock and roll that we were accustomed to, but it was good for the box office.
We were talking about this earlier, weren't we?
Yeah.
Your troubles like bubbles will soon disappear in the air.
You're dealing with publishers, you're dealing with songwriters, you're dealing with friends that want you to do a song. I mean, everything you can think of, I think, was thrown at Elvis as far as material goes. We did a number of bad songs.
I don't care where we go, so lead on, mi amigo. I think I'm gonna like it.
You know, even with all that crap, and you know he hated those songs. You could hear it in the studio sessions. You know, when he's joking around, or just you could tell he's fed up with it. The man still, he was committed to do the job that he was hired for. He still showed professionalism and did it. But as much as he hated it, you know, he had to have been so glad to finally get out of those contracts.
Yeah, I mean, you just listen to the recording session where he did Beach Shack, for instance. I mean,
I've heard that. So, yeah.
He cracked up with it. I mean, can you, like you said, can you imagine waking up in the morning knowing that you have to go to the studio to sing Old MacDonald?
Oh my God!
I mean, really?
Yeah.
Elvis was making movies in the 1960s, the Beatles and others were busy making music. He hadn't delivered a #1 hit in 7 years. So when the movie contracts were up, Elvis went back to his Graceland home, searched for good songs, and went to work. He made music history in January 1969. In Memphis, he cut 32 sides in 15 days. So much music that it took a year and a half to release it all. The session produced 4 gold singles and 2 platinum albums.
Think about it, Ken. What are we into the 4th day of the sessions, and how many songs have we gone through? A dozen?
A dozen, yeah.
At least a dozen. And he was sick at that time.
Yeah.
But he was pumped. You saw that video. You know, we showed that video of him in the studios. You could tell he was just enjoying himself being there. Yeah. And you could hear it in sessions.
Yeah, because he was allowed to follow his own creativity. There was no one there to give him any predefined ideas or predefined expectations. It was a case of their studio time, go in there, make music, do what you were born to do. Bob's your auntie.
Great material. He didn't have the Memphis Mafia to distract him at all. He could focus 100% on the music. Wow. You know, I think that's why I love those sessions so much. You know, yoga is as yoga does. That sucked. Susan, when they compared him to the Beatles, he wasn't like the Beatles in any way. Their music was so different. It was. They did. They had a different type of music.
But they were also formula in a sense, in my opinion. They were also very formulated for their time. I don't think they were really allowed to explore their full potential either. But you know, I guess that's how the business was back in the day too. Because you know, you don't even have to look at the Beatles. You can look at groups like the Monkees. The same thing. They all followed this predefined formula of how the music should sound like and what people out there.
Yeah, the Beatles finally broke out of it around '68 with the White Album. They broke out of that formula, and they did the White Album. They did Abbey Road, which is one of those 2 albums are the ones I like by the Beatles. Rubber Soul's really good, and there's hits here and there, but Abbey Road and the White Album are just, and that's just because of my age and when they came out, it was my time. But yeah, it was so much formula, and then you had the bands, and then all of a sudden you've got Led Zeppelin coming out and Creedence, so they weren't formula, and now I was changing, and it just, and I'm sure Elvis sitting back thinking, you know, why am
What
I
the
not
hell?
getting these songs?
His return to serious
Hey,
music
Jen, for
had
you.
begun.
You know, it was his second comeback because he come back from the Army. Everybody said he was finished. But this comeback
Oh,
was
yeah.
bigger because he'd been out in
Good
public
song.
and nobody'd ever done it before. And it was like, I remember feeling a real joy among Elvis fans because it was like, we got him back.
With his recording career on the way again, the second step of the music comeback was to reestablish himself as the #1 live performer. He hadn't been on stage in 8 years. So in July of 1969, Elvis armed himself with a full orchestra, 2 backup vocal groups, and set out to conquer the toughest entertainment town in the world. And for 32 incredible nights, it was standing room only. One
Good
friend who
Lord.
traveled over the years with Elvis, who handled his business and wrote his checks, recalls an earlier visit to Las Vegas.
First time Elvis came to Las Vegas was in 1956, and he bombed, mainly because there was an older crowd, and back then
Man, look how
they
old
just didn't
that looks
understand
with
his
Marty
music, and
Live.
they thought he was vulgar. But then when he came back in 1969, he took this town by storm. Elvis really didn't have a lot of close friends as far as other entertainers were concerned. There were some that he really liked and admired, some who he talked to, Sammy Davis, Tom Jones.
Elvis came to see me in the Flamingo in '68, and he said at that time that he wanted to come back on stage because that's all he felt. He felt that he was an entertainer, a live entertainer.
Absolutely.
And that was the most important thing to him. And it's the same thing to me. He said, but when I get on the stage, he said, that's my world. I said, tell me about it. I said, that's what makes me exist. When you get, no matter what the problems are before you go on stage, when you get on that stage, and that's what he had. Call it
Yeah.
charisma, call it point of view, call it whatever you will, but he had that. And you could see him when he was on that stage working, and everybody's doing this and being afraid that someone's going to come on the stage and the security and everything else. He wasn't. He was out there just doing his thing and making them and having fun with whoever's sitting ringside. That was his thing, have fun, and entertain the people to the best of his ability, which he did.
When you talk about peers in the industry, I don't think Elvis had a peer.
No.
And when you see that video at the end of That's the Way It Is, when he's walking back, it was the after show party, and he's wearing that patent leather, outfit, and you sit there and watch all the big name stars, Cary Grant, Sammy Davis Jr. There were other ones in that crowd, and they're in awe of Dale Robertson and his wife. It's like they're looking up in awe at him. And this is a guy. This was in 1960. Well, this was the 1970. It was 1970 when they did that after show. This is only a year outside of him being only in movies for 9 years, and he's back at top, and he's got these people looking at him like he's. I hate to use this term, but like he's God.
Like he stopped the planet.
Yeah, that part with Sammy Davis, you could tell kind of what he says, talking about Elvis, and when you did this one move and all that, you could tell how excited he was.
Yeah.
That must have been one freaking hell of a night opening, January 31st, 69, because it was an invitation-only show. It was all big-name people. And just the reviews about it afterwards by everybody was like, they were floored.
It's such a pity there was never a recording made of that show.
Yeah. Well, Parker did things like that. He didn't want a recording of a show that may have failed. And I could kind of understand that process, but I also would say, hey, listen, record it. If it sucks, burn the tape
Destroy it.
immediately.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
instruct the person with the camera that's what's going to happen.
Mm.
And if I was the camera guy, I would have pulled the tape out, stuck it in my whatever pocket, threw another one in, and then burn it right in front of him, and keep the other one.
Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather. If I'm talking too much or stop too much, just tell me stop, stopping, shut up. Cam does it all the time.
Oh, you lie. My favorite movie.
Yes.
I remember watching this as a kid, and I was like,
Yeah. I love this.
this must be so difficult to do. Because it's not; those are not normal muscles that you use.
No. I don't think Elvis had normal muscles. Some of the moves that he made.
Before I forget, I just want to share this. When I was a kid, when I watched this, right, it was back in the 80s, back in the mid 80s to late 80s.
Hey, Michael.
We only got VHS tapes, right?
Right. Yeah.
And back in those days, like I said before, I used to go to the rental store and rent this video time and time and time again. And I actually one day I got my uncle into trouble because my uncle had found out from a friend how to interconnect two VCRs so that you could play from the one and record onto the other. And my uncle went and he rented this video with the intention of making a copy for me so that I could watch it at my heart's content,
Wow.
which he did. But here's the cracker. Instead of putting the copied one in the case for me, he put the copied one in the video store's case. And when it came to us taking the video back, they opened the case to check if the tape has been rewound or, the condition of the tape. So needless to say, my uncle had to pay like a $60 fine because we got busted for piracy.
Well,
back in those
when this
back
movie,
in back in those days, $50 was a lot of money. I mean
Yeah.
that was what I got to. $50 was like 3 months pocket money for me because I used to get like $20 a month. So like $50 was almost 3 months pocket money for me, but my uncle paid it gladly.
Yeah.
Good one. Said it's like working for a glorified stripper, but every movement he made, I
Ronnie
had
Oh.
in on the drums, and it became very much a part of his music, and it became very much a part
Same
of
thing DJ used
his
to say.
training in karate. I even started studying karate, so I'd be able to anticipate his moves before he would actually finish them.
Before he could sing the first song, the audience got up and gave him a standing ovation for at least 10 minutes. Like,
wow.
Hey, man, welcome back.
If you do something in Las Vegas, if something happens on stage in Las Vegas, the media picks up on it. As if you're on the road somewhere and something happens, if you split your pants or you forget words or you fall down or, something happens. A lot of the times it's missed. But in Vegas, it's picked up on. So all those things, there's pressure in Vegas. And if you do well in Vegas, people know about it.
To succeed in Vegas and have longevity is the finest compliment that any performer can receive. If you get the support of the people who live there and the support of your people who come out. There's never been an artist in the history of Vegas, I think. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's ever been an artist that when his name went on the marquee, they knew he was coming. People came from all over the world. I never heard of that.
But with his arrival in
That's what
Las
we were
Vegas,
just
there
saying.
had come changes.
I'm doing the same thing,
He
Michael.
was better than ever. But those close to him could notice that Elvis was a different person.
All from the first time we met to the last few times I saw him, I noticed changes. Yeah, I noticed changes because he was more withdrawn. He was more within himself, and the fun, nutty things came further apart than they used to do. Of course, he was getting older. You know, he'd got a marriage, had a kid, blah, 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 blah. And those things affect you. And I think there's not a performer alive that doesn't doubt himself at a point.
I could see that the camp wasn't the same, you know, because every time I'd been with him before, I used to like the way that the fellas that worked for him seemed to be all with him, you know, very much with him. But then when I saw that he was having problems, they started to get like they couldn't handle it or they didn't know what was happening to him.
The music comeback was complete in January 1973.
I think we learned our lesson on that one.
Elvis was 38 years old, and the satellite show Aloha from Hawaii proved that he was truly number one. It was telecast live, and he was seen in 40 countries around the world. It was the ultimate achievement by any performer at any time.
This is one of my favorite outfits he ever wore. That white corduroy type suit. He looked freaking sharp. And he was, because he'd lost, what did he lose, about 25, 30 pounds for this show? He looked good in it. He just, I'm straight as an arrow, I promise.
He had a couple of good outfits though.
Oh yeah, he had quite a few.
I'd just like to say before anything else that it's a great privilege to do this satellite program, and I'm going to do my best, and all the people that work with me, to do a good show, which is pure entertainment. No messages and no this and that.
Some say that the satellite show, his greatest achievement, was also his last hurrah. After it, he could have played anywhere he chose. But instead, it was back to a grueling series of one-nighters in many towns he played before.
I left a good job in the city, working for the man every night and day, and I never lost 1 minute of sleeping. What about the way things might have been? But you won't keep on going. Round up, keep on rolling. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Oh, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down.
And he, in essence, became that to a lot of us.
Everything a performer could dream of.
What's that?
But personal problems began to overtake him.
What'd you say, Cam?
In essence, he did. He became a bridge over troubled water for each one of us. Because when we go through our own personal trials and tribulations, we go to two places, evidently. First, we either go into ourselves and search for God, or we turn to Elvis. But somehow, he's always part of that.
Yeah.
The waters can be as stormy as hell, but he's always there somehow.
Yeah. He had a song for everything.
Fire was gone. He was a different Elvis Presley. It would take only 4 years.
As long as it lasts, as long as it sells, I'll continue doing it. As long as that's what the people want. And if they change, if it dies out, I'll try to do something else. And if that doesn't work, I'll just say, well, I had my day.
In his last 4 years, Elvis recorded only 30 songs. When out on tour, he returned to Graceland and tried to recapture those earlier days.
Wait.
It wasn't the same.
What did he just say? In his last 4 years, he only recorded 30 songs?
Yeah.
No.
1973
to 77? He had he had, what was it? Today, Elvis Presley Boulevard, Moody Blue. What other albums did he have during that time? Promised Land?
Promised Land.
That's at least 40 to 50 songs right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just doesn't. That doesn't compute.
Google it. It doesn't make
His
sense.
6-year marriage to Priscilla
Yeah,
ended
how-
in divorce. Health and personal problems increased, and he was overweight. Many old friends were replaced by new ones. On August 16th, 1977,
Raised on Rock
Elvis
was another
found
one.
dead in his home at Graceland.
Yeah, I'm counting them right
He was
now.
only 42 years old.
When I say I could see the end coming, there were certain nights when we'd get ready to go on stage and they'd go in to talk to him, and he was hardly even coherent. His eyes would be closed. He'd hardly even open his eyes to talk to you. He would be drowsy. We'd doubt whether he would even get through the show or not. There were nights when I just physically would pound the drums as hard as I could, just to kick him in the rear end, to wake up, we're on stage,
Sure.
There were other nights when he'd come out there wired to the wall, couldn't slow him down for anything, it was just totally wired.
In 1973, he did 30 alone. I just counted him for 73. So I don't know what he. I don't know what he meant by that.
And you can't, that's destructive. Whatever those reasons were, I don't know.
I can't imagine that Elvis could have ended any other way, but that's more because of how people treat other people than it is because of any fault in Elvis. If the world was the pure world that I hear when I hear him singing If I Can Dream or Follow That Dream or Mystery Train, then yeah, I can see Elvis living forever. And I think the Elvis in that music will live forever.
Perhaps he was the flawed hero we should all be looking for in the 20th century, in that he had all the gifts and the opportunities, and faced with the possibility of anything, destroyed himself by self-abuse, possibly by drugs, possibly by listening to the wrong advice, by indulging his other weaknesses, and not realizing how fortunate he was, and understanding that a certain discipline is necessary. And we live in the first age that had the ability to destroy itself completely. And Elvis seems perhaps a symbol of all that possibility going to waste and just ending without any warning.
You see, Elvis was such a phenomenon that when people see a man so big as Elvis was go the way he went, and dying the way he did, I think that that it affects people and makes them wonder, how could that happen to a man like that? And in that way, it's tragic. But I think Elvis Presley was basically a down-home person, and a real person. I think he just, not pointing any fingers at any buddy that was around him, but I think if he'd had a few more friends close to him, then he would be alive today.
Yes, Michael.
Who can survive with this burden of success? I don't know, because he had such a success that it confined him to this, to this cage he had to live in without any freedom at all.
I remember the last party he invited me to, and he was telling me what a strain it you did. He said, "Do it happen to you?" I said, "Yeah, but not like it does you." He couldn't even move around the place without bodyguards or somebody being close to him all the time. I usually maybe have somebody around sometimes. He had to have them all the time.
There's a big buildup of something else that takes place before you finish yourself off inadvertently. I wish he hadn't done it. But then again, I know a lot of people that do that kind of thing to themselves every day for reasons amounting to much less pressure than Elvis had on him.
I remember in the early years he used to say, "Hey man, if it all stops now, I'll just look back and say it was great." But I don't think he could have done that in later years. What kept him going is that he wanted to continue being Elvis Presley.
It ain't my business what he did. The only thing I want to know, was he my friend? Did I enjoy him as a performer? Did he give the world of entertainment something? Yes, on all counts.
And that's the name of that tune. You understand what I mean? Good. This is that, but jazz don't matter.
Tell you what, nobody said anything negative about Elvis in front of Sammy.
No. You know, it's insane because I'm watching this for the first time, and a lot of what these guys are saying I've heard before, but they're saying it with such respect, love, and admiration that, you know, I can sort of try to understand what they're trying to say, and it must have been hard for him because, like we said earlier, he didn't have anyone to go to like the artists of today do. They always refer back to somebody like a Sammy Davis or a BB King or a Elton John or somebody of that stature. And at that time, that's what he needed to do, not necessarily for advice, but
Right.
just to offload and say, I'm carrying something damn heavy here, and I just need to take a load off for a little bit. I just need to rest a little bit. And he didn't have that because he was watched all the time.
Mm.
So it's kind of obvious that, you know, in many instances, his life it it compares to a star in the galaxy. Because when a star is born, it starts out small and it grows and then it burns
Burns out.
hell bright for millennium, and then all of a sudden it's just gone
Mm.
because there's no more energy to give. And in that instance, Elvis was truly a star.
Yeah. Boom.
There's more than music to keep the echo of Elvis Presley alive. Memories from Graceland, from those who knew him best. There, Elvis could confide in people like Bill Morris, who became county sheriff and went on to become mayor of Memphis.
He was probably the only non-paid Secret Service agent ever in the country as a volunteer or an honorary position because the President of the United States bestowed that honor on him.
First cousin Billy Smith, whose family moved to Memphis with the Presleys in 1948.
His mother couldn't have any more children after Elvis was born and all, so she became very protective of it. In fact, she was so protective even while he was in high school. She used to hide behind a bush and follow him home after school.
Joe Smith, married to Billy. They both lived at Graceland.
He liked badges. He collected badges from all over, everywhere, all kind of police badges. He even had a police uniform.
Marty Lacker, a high school friend who helped him take care of business.
One time he said, how many people do you know that can write a check for $1 million and get it cashed?
Patsy Lacker, Marty's wife. They lived with Elvis, too.
He didn't even get himself a glass of water from the faucet. One of the guys would always have a glass of water sitting there for him when it was time for him to come down.
Pat Perry, his Beverly Hills hairdresser who saw him laugh and saw him cry.
When I started cutting men's hair, I started cutting some of the guys' hairs around him, and he didn't want to miss out on anything, so he says, you got to cut my hair. That scared me to death, you know. But I did it, and he loved it, you know, and it was like, I traveled with him wherever he went, and just whenever he needed it. But he kept me around because he liked me, because it was fun, you know. He was like my big brother.
Kong Ree, the Memphis karate teacher who named him Mr. Tiger.
And his movement is so unique and so, entertaining and so beautiful. He's the total man.
Harry Levitch, a Memphis jeweler and friend for 20 years. He made the wedding rings for Elvis and Priscilla.
You know, he always called me Mr. Levitch. I could never make him call me Harry. I was older than him, and he was just taught that he should call older men Harry.
What was Elvis really like? Who knows better than those who were close to him?
He just wanted to have enough money in his bank account to write a check to buy anything he wanted to buy whenever he wanted to buy it.
All the jewelry that he wore on stage was all real.
The first thing I ever sold Elvis was an electric mixer.
Well, Elvis had a great desire to make people happy, and he thought that giving people material things was very, very important.
2 days later, he came back in, and he said, Mr. Levis, can you give me another electric mixer? And I said, certainly. Who will this be for? And he said, this was for Mama, too. He says, you know, I've decided that I've made a little bit extra money, and I'm going to put one at each end of the kitchen so she won't have to walk so much.
One Christmas, particularly, as another example of his interest in people and giving and seeing them happy. We were in an automobile agency just before Christmas, and a black lady was in there and looking at cars, obviously just looking. And very quickly, he moved over to where she was, and he said, "Do you like that car?" And she said, "I sure do." He said, "How would you like to have that for Christmas?" She said, "Oh, there ain't no way." And he said, "Well, that sure is. I just bought it for you."
I remember during the movie years, every night for 2 years straight, he had meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and sliced tomato for supper.
He used to carry little Jell-O squares and munch on those, you know, because they were less fattening and everything.
Couldn't care less about business.
He never made any investments, and his money was never invested for him.
He baby talked to most of the girls he dated.
Most people, guys, when they play touch football, they go out in a vacant lot or in their backyard and play. Not Elvis. He went out and rented the stadium. He bought complete uniforms, helmets, pads, everything for everybody on his team. Sometimes we even had cheerleaders. That's the way he liked to play touch football.
Priscilla was the woman of the house of Graceland. When Lisa was born, Elvis was like walking on air. He was so proud.
He was gutsy. He was much of a man.
I wish that everybody would have a chance to share the life of a man like him. And one day he wrote down a little, on a piece of paper, his philosophy for a happy life for me. Someone to
I've
love,
seen that before.
something to look forward to, and something to do. I miss him a lot.
Yeah, this is totally different than the ones I've seen on YouTube. I've never seen this before. This is good. Very well produced.
The death of Elvis resulted in an unbelievable outpouring of sympathy and exploitation. Each year, some 500,000 people visit Graceland to pay homage to their fallen idol, an unprecedented phenomenon. Hero worship like the world has never seen.
I think that's up to about 650,000 now. Those stores right there, they were all across from Graceland at the time before they built that big, center with the ticket booths and all the other stuff they have there. And it was just a bunch of those they were just little strip malls that they turned into Elvis souvenirs and all that. And I remember when we would go down there, went in and they would have all kinds of bootleg Elvis albums, just all kinds of things. I go, how can they be selling bootleg albums here? Isn't that illegal? And the lady told me to get out of the store. Kicked me out of the store for asking that question. I go, well, I don't want to be buying illegal. I mean, they had some cool concerts and all that, but of course they probably sucked. They were all cassettes back then, and it's just like, you weren't allowed to listen to see what they sounded like. So I went and bought one, and it was like it's double what you would pay for a regular, cassette at the time, which back then it was probably $10 or something for it. I got in my car and I stuck that in, and all it did, you could tell it was a concert, but I mean, it sounded like the guy was recording it from the building next door. It was so freaking
Oh my goodness.
horrible. Yeah, I got a few 8-tracks too. I just don't have a freaking 8-track player anymore. Make my own. Meatloaf is my favorite meal. Absolutely love meatloaf.
I've been coming down.
My mom
I
made a
guess,
great one.
about 15 years, and there's a bunch of us that used to come down here and sit around, wait for Elvis, just wait for him to come out, follow him to the movies. He was always friendly to the fans, no matter how long you stayed here. You could be here till 4 or 5 in the morning, and he never ran them off.
I think he has
Hey, girl.
many all of
Hey,
the
little girl.
characters of
Here you go.
human beings. For example,
Here you go.
sometimes wild,
No.
timid, strong and weak, and sad and good. Many characters. That's why we love him.
Some of these people here take out two jobs. They're not wealthy. They're just ordinary people.
My mum's always liked Elvis, my dad's always liked Elvis. We've always heard his music. Ever since he first started, when I was 16, 17.
Marty.
He just cared so much for people. And throughout the years, you know, he said, if it wasn't for my fans, man, I just wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't have the things that I have. And so I thanked him. And the best way he thanked him was to entertain him and make him feel loved.
When Elvis died, it was absolutely clear to me that he would become more popular in death than he had in life. Because immediately he died, the disappointments of a badly handled career and a disintegrating personal life were no longer relevant. They could be forgotten. We could choose to remember what we wanted of Elvis Presley.
310 up front.
330.
330 up front.
380.
380 up front. 400 over on the side.
What?
450. 5 big ones over on the side.
My Lord.
Big ones. So 500.
$500 in 1984.
That's for an autograph photo.
He became a social.
What was that would be? Gotta find out now. And they were from overseas too, weren't they?
Yeah.
$500. You gotta drop a log on this man. $6,500. That's what. Whoa, wait. I got the wrong year there. I just realized I didn't change the year. Still. Okay. Oh well, that's a little bit better. $1,500.
Wow.
But you know, you fly all the way overseas, you spend all this money to get over here, and if you could nab an autograph and you got the money to do it, I'd pay for it.
Oh yeah.
Money to do it, you know. Obviously, if they said, I want $10,000 for this, I'm not going to pay it because I know I'm getting ripped off. But $500 for $1,500 for an autograph of Elvis, I'd pay that if I had the money today, as long as it comes with a certificate and it proves that it's that it's legit. I'll come to find out. I'll compare it to Elvis. It'll look like my. It's like I stuck a pin in Bailey's paw and she said just draw Elvis Presley,
Phenomenon, the one star who would be larger after death than in life. And his fans won't ever forget him. It is like a religious experience because most of them have felt their love, as it's always described for Elvis, with such intensity that having once felt it, this is something they'll never let go of. And although it may become embarrassing to those who don't share it, as the years go by, the ones who do will work even harder to relive it and to bring it back. And consequently, these jamborees in Memphis, necrophiliac jamborees, if you like, will become bigger and louder and more popular as the years go by.
Okay, I resent that statement.
I learned very early in life that without a song, the day would never end. Without a song, a man ain't got a friend. Without a song, the road would never bend. Without a song. So I'll keep singing the song.
Somewhere I know there's a blue sweet heaven, a blue sweet heaven
Oh, this is the song with who sings this again? Mark James. He's the guy that wrote Suspicious Minds.
Oh, okay.
And sang the demo. He wrote another one too. Was it Always on My Mind? Nope. Yeah. Takes things. Kicked off with the whole song.
Before he died, Elvis recorded more than 600 songs and became the king of the charts. He had more hit albums than any artist in history. He had the most gold singles, the most gold albums, the most number ones as a solo artist. He had starred in 33 successful movies, and his concerts were always sold out. Elvis Presley was and is a billion-dollar industry. Elvis, the echo will never die. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Elvis. He was a complex man, sophisticated, yet childlike, puritanical, but in many ways excessive. But whatever Elvis was, he was loved, and he'll forever be the king of rock and roll. I'm Casey Kasem. Thanks for watching.
Anybody, for those of you, I don't know if anybody's still online that will remember Casey Kasem back in the day, but does anybody ever? Oh, I think I remember now. There was a phrase that Casey Kasem always said at the end of the top 40, something about reaching for the stars. I think that was it, something like that. I just thought about it. Sorry, I digress. I love that clip right there. Keep your heart out, Michael. Trying to see if you can remember. Keep the floor, man. Thank you, Cat. Keep reaching for the stars. I had to stop and think about it. Because I kind of had to close my eyes and picture listening to the radio. Keep reaching for the stars. They don't make them like that anymore, you know.
Mm-mm.
For those of you who remember, I'm gonna actually. You know what? We ought to do a watch party where I play all the clips of Paul Harvey when the stories are about Elvis. His story, he had Paul Harvey was a journalist, but he had a show called The Rest of the Story, and he would tell a story and you won't know who it's about. Well, you kind of figure it out with the details, but he'd tell all the details, and at the end, it would say, you know, he'd take a break. We'll be right back for the rest of the story. And he'd come back, and he'll tell who it was, and that's the rest of the story. And I've got, I think, 15 or 20 of those Paul Harvey ones that are about Elvis. It might be less than that. It'd be kind of cool to start throwing some of those in here when we do these. Actually, you know what? Have you ever heard of the outtakes of Casey Kasem cursing? It's tremendous. Oh, I haven't. I'm going to see if I can get one of them. Let me see if I can find one of the Paul Harveys. Give me a second here, guys. Paul Harvey, the rest of the story, Elvis. All right, so which one? Birthday, tantrum, 9-year-olds, and guitar. Okay, this might be interesting. Oh, you know what? I can't. Oh, actually, I can. I can. They're not movies. They're MP3s. But well, let's play one. Paul Harvey. Let's see. I could have sworn there were some that were. Oh, this might be good. All right, let's do this one. See if it'll take it. All right, here's a real quick one. A poor boy with a guitar, something like it's called uploading. Oh yes, it's almost done. That was a good documentary. I've never seen that one. I've seen all these other ones that talk about Elvis not being a racist, but they're all kind of chopped up most of the time.
Yeah, these ones are nice because I don't know. It's like all of those that are out there. Most of them we've seen before. It's just every time it's like some of the material. It's just re-edited and cleaned up, and little things are added here and little things are taken out there. But it's been a while since I've actually watched something that I have no clue what it's about, except knowing that it's about Elvis and that's it. But what they're gonna say or who's in it, had no clue.
I've got that. Here it is, right here. Here's another one I'm going to put up. We got a little time. I got a couple of videos here. I've got that, Susan. Was it Susan? I've got that. We'll play it right here in a second. I'll probably get fucking kicked off. Excuse me. I'll probably get kicked off for it. But all right, I got two videos. Oh, error while uploading. I have to reformat it. Okay. Give me a second. All right, so I'm going to see if I can reformat this. Downloads. Okay. While we're watching the other one, I'll let it do its format. Okay. Let's go.
Okay. You drive the cart. I'm going for intermission. I'll be right back.
All right, man. Hope everything comes out all right.
I hope so too. Although
All right.
you never know.
All right, I'm gonna play. You want me to hold off? You can be. How long you gonna be gone?
No, just maybe a minute. No, you can go. I'll catch up.
Okay. You want? I wanted to play that Paul Harvey one. I'm reformatting. Cam, you do great. Oh, he's gone now. I found it is kind of strange, Susan. It really is. I'm hoping I don't get banged for this. I'm going to save it for last. I'm reformatting. It's going to take a little bit. So let's play this Paul Harvey one real quick. So layers. Let's see, add a new layer, and I'm going to do a media file, and I'm going to do Paul Harvey. Okay, so this is 5 minutes long. Paul Harvey. It's actually not Paul Harvey, is it? That's not Paul Harvey. Let's see what.
Good day, Paul Harvey fans. It's hard to imagine that some people would be welcome in your home while others may not be welcome in your home, depending on their social standing, how they dress, or where they live. I like to think that we've come a long way since then. In this broadcast of the rest of the story, Paul Harvey will explain one such story.
If you grew up on a diet of cowcountry music and hillbilly ballads, then you're familiar with the name Lonzo Green. Great country singer. But he was a stranger in town that summer. He'd brought his wife and a couple of youngsters all the way from Cherry Valley, Arkansas to visit relatives in Tennessee. But as I say, he was a stranger in town. He was unaccustomed to the local customs and to the local taboos. So Lonzo was a little surprised to learn that a friend of his young nephew, under no circumstances, was to be allowed into the house. His teenage nephew Jimmy had proudly, excitedly spread the word around school that Uncle Lonzo, the musician, had come to town and he was staying with them right there in their apartment on Lauderdale Court. And naturally, this impressed Jimmy's young friends, especially one, a quiet, dark-haired boy of 15. Jimmy came home that day. He told Lonzo about the boy, how he had his own guitar, but he didn't know how to tune it. And if Lonzo would just tune the guitar for him, the boy would be so grateful. Lonzo said he'd be happy to oblige. He asked Jimmy when his friend could come with his guitar, and then Jimmy's eager smile faded. His friend could come by that afternoon, but Mom and Dad had made a firm rule that the boy was not to be allowed inside. He was, as they said in those days, from the wrong side of the tracks. They had explained, well, some folks called him white trash. Maybe he could meet Lonzo outside, but he was not permitted in the house. Lonzo did not quite understand, but he nodded. He said nothing. A couple of hours later, he walked out into the sunlight and waited, and in a minute or two, the figure appeared at the end of the lane, a boy with a dark hair and a battered guitar slung across his back. And as the boy walked closer, Lonzo studied the sensitive features, the timid sidewise glances at this better neighborhood. The sting of self-consciousness was apparent. Then he noticed that the boy's guitar, obviously inexpensive, doubtless secondhand, was tethered by a piece of string. Well, they met at the curb. They shook hands. The youngster gave a shy, slight smile. And there at the curbside, they sat down, right on the curb. And Lonzo took the instrument from the boy. Nobody had ever shown him how to tune his guitar, ever. With a soft, polite southern drawl, the lad said, "No, sir, nobody ever did." And then Lonzo demonstrated. He placed his fingers in the proper frets, and the boy watched intently, and after the guitar was tuned, he thanked Lonzo. He began to get up from the curb, but Lonzo would not let him leave. For he, Lonzo, had tasted poverty back in Arkansas in his own youth. And he had known the other side of the neighborhood barrier, which separated acceptable from unacceptable people. How such a little kindness from the right person would have meant back then. So Lonzo asked this dark-haired boy to stay a little while longer, and the hesitant smile now broke into a broad grin. And with the little lad's inexpensive guitar, Lonzo played and sang one familiar hill country ballad after another, and shortly the haunting reticence in the boy's eyes was gone, replaced by the joy of the music. Cars were streaming past them. The shadows of late afternoon grew long. After Lonzo had taught the boy to play a few chords on the guitar, the youngster thanked him again and was on his way. He was not invited inside. Not then. Lonzo Green would never meet him again. But the boy had left his company with a warm memory, a memory that he would carry throughout his remarkable, radical change in his own life, because someday you would invite that dark-haired boy from the wrong side of town into your home. And when he crossed those tracks for good, he brought with him his guitar, and he brought the soft, polite drawl and the hesitant smile. That was many summers, 33 motion pictures, millions of records, and a lifetime ago. And if there is a happy ending mixed in with our own bittersweet memories, it is that the boy was never, ever after unwelcome again. That young fellow who once upon a time was not allowed inside was Elvis Presley. Now you know the rest of the story.
He's got some great stories, man.
It's difficult to imagine Elvis being looked upon as white trash Many people have pointed out that Mr. Harvey made a slight error in this broadcast. If you caught this mistake, tell me in the comments. Keep in mind that Paul Harvey began broadcasting the rest of the story decades before the internet. After listening to this broadcast, I think I'm going to go listen to some Elvis. This is Brad Dyson, as Paul Harvey would say. Good day.
Yeah, I've got some other clips from him that are pretty good. So, okay, let me get rid of this. Layers, got it. Stop media share. Oh, I know where I gotta do. I gotta get. Okay, good. All right, so now I've got 2 more clips. Michael sent me one with the meltdown of Casey Kasem. So let's look at that real quick, and then we'll. And then I'll watch the one that Susan talked about with Riley. I'm saving that for last. So this is only 1:55. I don't know. I'm not so sure about the language here, but we'll find out. Huh, Michael? Michael still here? Michael, are you still here? Didn't I lose Michael?
No, he's still here.
Oh, there he is. It's a lot of cursing, Rick. All right, folks. So be prepared. It's probably a lot more cursing than I normally do, but we'll see. Hopefully, I don't get kicked off.
The countdown will begin this Sunday afternoon at 1, right here on the radio station you grew up with, Music Radio 138. Oh, fuck. What the hell's going on here? Oh, geez, well, isn't it the last hour? We got another hour to do? Geez, I thought we were almost finished. Good golly, Miss Molly. Boy, this is fucking ponderous, man. Ponderous, fucking ponderous. Hi, this is Casey Kasem. American Top 40 has moved to a new time. I hope
I
you
get
join
kicked
me
off.
this
Just
Saturday
hold
morning
on.
and every Saturday morning at 2. Now, we're up to our long-distance dedication. And this one is about kids and pets and a situation that we can all understand, whether we have kids or pets or neither. It's from a man in Cincinnati, Ohio. And here's what he writes. Dear Casey, this may seem to be a strange dedication request, but I'm quite sincere, and it'll mean a lot if you play it. Recently, there was a death in our family. He was a little dog named Snuggles, but he was most certainly a part of... Let's go start again. From coming out of the record. Play the record, okay? Please. See, when you come out of those up-tempo goddamn numbers, man, it's impossible to make those transitions. And then you got to go into somebody dying. You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for, but goddamn it, if we can't come out of a slow record, I don't understand it. Is Don on the phone? Okay, I want a goddamn concerted effort to come out of a record that isn't a fucking
I'm holding my
up-tempo
breath.
record every time I do a goddamn death dedication. Now, make it, and I also want to know what happened to the pictures I was supposed to see this week. This is last goddamn time. I want somebody to use his fucking brain to not come out of a goddamn record that is that's up tempo, and I got to talk about a fucking dog dying.
Holy crap!
Wow.
I just changed my impression of him. Sorry, folks, if that offends you, but that's awesome, Michael. I never heard that before. Well, I don't know. I guess awesome is probably the wrong word to say. I'm shocked. I really shocked.
Colorful, I would say.
Okay, folks, I've got the now this one. I don't know if it's brand new, and it's by Riley. So we'll see if we get kicked off. If we do, then just hang on. We'll be right back within a few seconds. So I am going to hook this in, and we're going to add it to the scene. It's 6 minutes long. Well, but it's interesting. It's all filmed at Graceland. And I kind of, I'll be honest with you, I kind of don't like it, but I kind of like it because it's all in black and white, but I don't really, well, just watch. I want everybody's opinion, please. I'm kind of, have you ever heard, oh yeah, we already, way behind, meltdown big time. All right, folks, here we go. All at Graceland.
My writing process is always different.
I don't know if this is on YouTube or not.
Mostly I write on the plane or in my office or in bed. But I prefer to be in the environment that I'm writing about.
Oh, it is on YouTube. Okay.
So I can experience the place. I'd never written a book before. When I'm writing a script, what inspires a scene can be totally random. Sometimes it's a conversation I had. Sometimes it's a building or a landscape or a street. Little fleeting moments inspire scenes often. It can be a sentence I hear or read. I'll hear a sentence or I'll read a sentence in a book that touches me somehow and build a scene around it.
In a way, I'm cringing.
Yeah, I do too. I've watched part of it, and I haven't watched the whole thing, but I kind of cringe with it because you're sitting there looking at the jungle room, and they're in there playing pool, or I don't think the pool table's in the jungle room, is it? No, it's not in the jungle room.
No, it's in the pool room.
Yeah. Dumbass, Rick. The jungle's in the jungle room. Anyway, so, but well, first of all, I'd like to know when they filmed this, because Graceland's, but then Graceland closes fairly, I think, probably around 5 or 6. So if it's during this time of the year, it stays light until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, depending on where you're at. I'm not for sure in Memphis. Here it stays light. At this time of year, when we're getting towards the longest day, it stays light until 9 o'clock. But, people are walking around. People were touching things that are white glove only and drinking and goofing around. I hope no one spilled. They do look like actors for sure. It belongs to Riley, so she can do what she wants to do. But I certainly hope I didn't see anything in here that would really damaged anything. But it's like Susan, it's like Susan says, people were touching things. Let's just finish watching it. We'll talk about it afterwards.
People inspire me, though.
A book she's writing, I guess.
Sometimes I'll watch.
What she's talking about is her process of writing a book and what she does to do this. I guess she's in the process of writing a book of her own. When she says she's never written a book, I don't consider, Beyond the Great Unknown to be her book. It's Lisa Marie's book, and she just acted more like probably a ghostwriter, you would say. I don't know. Riley seems so uncomfortable here. We think of GL as homey and comforting. Graceland as homey and comforting. She seems to be haunted by it. Yeah.
An exchange between two people that I find interesting or makes me laugh, and then I'll create a scene around it.
She's got Elvis's smile.
Riley, yeah.
I'll usually always have a general structure or a plan, but I'm a very lyrical writer, and I don't like to restrict
Yeah, you're right
myself.
then for you. That's the back staircase that goes up into the kitchen.
I do it for myself, mostly. To entertain myself, maybe.
I mean, if you take Graceland out of the deal just because of how we feel about Elvis and all that, it's actually a very interesting production. You know, she's a great director and she's produced some great stuff, and obviously she's a great actress too. So, you know, I think the production of what she's done here is really good. I just like you said, and other people. It's not Lisa's book. That just came out afterwards, I think. You
I
know what?
let my
While it's playing, I'm
imagination
going to look
really
it up.
go anywhere. It's when I feel the most free. What I find to be so magical about it is that it just comes when it comes. Sometimes I'll be sleeping and wake up at 3 a.m. with a solution to a problem I've been having.
Okay, what this is about, she's not really so much as talking about a book. She's talking about writing the script for a new series coming out and what her process of doing that. That's what this is about. I just looked it up. It says, Roddy Keel to discuss new series in process. And this is a different in process is a series from what I understand. And I guess this series is different parts where she takes them to different areas in the world or whatever, just how they go about. She's teaching young writers how to write for movies,
Okay.
which is a great thing, you know.
Sometimes I'll be driving home from work and an entire sequence will just pop into my head out of nowhere.
Tell you what, she's perfect for the camera.
I always utilize music while I'm writing. I don't use it much when I'm acting, but for writing, I find music to be very helpful. When I'm writing a scene, I'll listen to one
So she
song
hired the
over and
trumpet
over
player to
again
come
for
play.
hours and put myself in like a trance, keeping myself in the tone of the scene so I don't get lost. Finding discipline within something that feels unpredictable brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah, I think
I've
it
never
is.
written a book before. It was my first time writing in this way, in an autobiographical way.
Oh my God, don't tell me she got one of
Usually
her
I'm
guitars.
creating fake people and fake scenarios. This was like
Gibson.
writing a diary entry.
I'm literally cringing as I'm sitting here.
In the kitchen.
There was no way for me to decipher whether the memories were mine or they were tales that I've been told. Memories and stories were tangled together, and I couldn't always tell which one belonged to me. The people weren't made up in my head, they were my family. And the world wasn't imagined, it's the world I grew up in. The locations were real. The people were real. It's just a very human story set in an unusual place.
Here we go.
But for me, it's the most usual place in the world.
It's tourists. Wow. I don't know really how to take it. I really don't. I think it's an excellent production that she did. You know, how she did it. You know, it's. I'd have to see more about the series of what she's doing. You know, who was it said that? I think it was she sees imprisoned there. Anything is sweet. Yeah. Yeah, it was Susan. She doesn't connect with Elvis. I've yet to see it. I don't think she really does. I think Elvis is too far unattached, just like me. I don't. I don't even connect with my grandfather, even though my mother's father, my grandfather, he died when I was 5. I remember him vividly, but I don't have really a connection other than the harmonica that he gave me, and then my dad's dad. I had some kind of a connection, but I don't have that. I just don't have any kind of connection. I don't know how to put it. I think Riley's connection to Elvis is through her mother. She's obviously more connected to her mother, and I think that's where there's so much about her that she looks like Elvis and acts like Elvis. So she's got that, but I would have really been interested to see where Benjamin would have been today had he been around.
Hmm.
You know, he died when he was 27, and so he would be what in his early 30s, because that was what 4 years ago. Wow, she seems impressed. I don't mean knowing him. I didn't know my friend, but she doesn't feel like she wants to know about it. Well, that's what I mean. I guess it doesn't. It's not what I mean for me. I knew what you meant, Susan. I guess I really can't say it's the same thing with me because, I know a lot about my grandparents, but
Yeah, maybe she is, like you said, a little bit too disconnected. She doesn't. I can't say she doesn't appreciate her lineage because she does,
well, I look at it.
but
Go ahead.
maybe she feels like her grandfather is kind of like a business venture that she didn't want to get involved with, but that she's forced to be involved with because of her name, kind of thing.
Yeah, I see how I look at it is I think she really does know a lot about Elvis. I mean, just some of the things she wrote in the book, talking about, well, what if Elvis, had never stepped into the Sun Studios, and she talks about where they would have been and all that, which, in truth be said, if he never did that, he never married Priscilla, then Riley would have never existed, and neither would have Lisa Marie.
Yeah.
But I think she does, but I don't think she wants to talk about it in public because I don't think I think she doesn't want to use that name as an she wants to do everything 100% off of herself. And I don't think she wants to use his name as an influence to get things or do things. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just my feeling. I could totally 100% be wrong, but I think I have a lot of respect for Riley for how mature and how businesslike and how she's handled everything. The only thing I don't like that was handled that she even though it remains to be seen, but that permission was given for Priscilla to be buried at Graceland, but yet that place is already it was zoned for only I think it was 6, and there's already 6 there. So I don't know. They may get it rezoned or whatever, but she, if they, and I don't care. It's not my business. It's not my home and all that. I don't want her to be buried right next to Elvis. I think that's BS, flat out BS. Like I said before, put her out by the barn where bury her next to Rising Sun and all the other horses and animals. I could care less, but I don't think she needs to be buried in the meditation gardens. She's an ex-wife. She's not a freaking widow, and I don't think she should be there. Even if Lisa Marie's buried there and Benjamin, if she thinks she has the right to be buried next to her daughter and all that, then tough.
Yeah,
I give her credit, but she must have gotten some opportunities just from her heritage. I'm sure there was some, but as far as getting those, and when I say that she didn't get off, she didn't um, benefit from Elvis's name. I'm sure she did somewhere along the line, even though Presley's not part of her name. But the thing is, it was a long, it was. I knew of, her real name's Well, her first name is Daniel Riley, but hearing of Riley Keough, I never connected her to Elvis until I never associated it because she didn't have the last name Presley. So I think in the public eye and non Elvis fans never made that connection until you know I would say almost to the point of when Lisa died. Riley was, or maybe about the time she started doing that series. She did that one series where I guess she played a prostitute. I never watched the series, but I don't know. I'm rambling on, guys. I don't know what to think about it all. All I do know is I really respect her for how she's handled herself. She's not out there in the world of people like um, Miley Cyrus and all these other actresses that are woke or seem to want to voice their opinions about politics, or they get into trouble, or they hate, they're hating on the studios. That she's not in that. She doesn't live a negative life. She's very positive, and everything she does, for me, is for the benefit. I mean, look at this. She had kids in there involved in this, and you know, am I off? Am I off on that?
Um, I don't know. I think I'm going to respectfully bow out of this one because uh, there's pros and cons to it for me, but my personal take on it is nothing to ward Riley in a bad light, but I don't like it.
What, the video?
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I don't like the fact that she did the video at the house.
It's like
But
it's
but
like
it's her house. That's the thing. And
yeah, I know.
if she walked away from that house and it was left in the exact same condition as she walked in, then I don't have an issue with that part of it, as long as there was no damages and all that. Because when Lisa Marie was alive, they went in there and did things in the house.
Yeah, but Lisa grew up there. That makes it a little bit different for me.
Well, I understand that, but it's also Riley's house now too, and she spent a lot of her childhood. Riley spent a lot of her childhood in that
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, I guess.
So I could see it your way, but I also see it in the aspect that I could never walk up to her and say you don't need to be doing that in Grayston when she could
No,
turn around and
no.
say, well, it's my fucking house.
No, true. Very true.
Hey, Steve.
But yeah, okay.
I know I understand your point. I would tend to agree with you on a lot of it. I'm just kind of like in the middle with it all. Um, I just hope Riley never come. The one thing I don't want Riley to ever do, and I don't think she do, was open up the upstairs.
No.
I will go personally. And nothing I could do. I would just go frickin'. I would lose all respect for her if she did that, because there would only be one reason to do that:
Hmm.
monetary.
No, I guess the easiest way for me to try and sketch it, and you guys might think I'm crazy, but you know, to me it's, and I understand it's her house and it's what her mother left for her and all the rest of it, but to me it's almost as bad as going into going into the Vatican in the middle of Easter Mass and playing ACDC Highway to Hell and
But
expecting.
you're not comparing apples to apples. The person that walks in there and playing ACDC doesn't own the Vatican.
Yeah, I know.
It's not their property, so you're really not. It's totally disrespectful. I agree,
Yeah,
But
that's the point.
that to me is more disrespectful than what she did because it's her house to do, and all it's doing is just you're gonna have your fans that don't like it and those that do. I don't know if I like it. I like the production. I like the cinematography. I like the way she spoke. I like the interaction with people. It was like she was having her group of friends at the house sharing this place. And the fact that she put it on video, is going to tick off some people to see this. But who knows that she doesn't do that without videotaping. She goes to the house and stays there at times. And her and Lisa, all of them they used to say that they would be caught with the tourists coming through. They'd have to sit there and wait till all the tourists come through before they could leave. So I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like with Priscilla. Most of the stuff with her is I could care less. But there's the only thing that really turned me even worse than the fact that people assume that I'm a Priscilla lover is bullshit. I've never talked about Priscilla on my channel because she's insignificant to me. She has nothing to do with what we do. But I do have an opinion on everything I've ever said about her was always on the negative light. And I've always said I have no opinion about her, and I've also always been very adamant that I think she shouldn't be buried there, and I hopefully I don't have to live through the fact of hearing that she was buried there in the meditation gardens, which what does she just turn 82 or something like that? How does she just turn 80?
I have no idea.
Anyway, I don't think they should open the upstairs. That would be no, absolutely. I was extremely close with my grandparents and lived in their home. I would shoot a short clip here about how it influenced me in my writing if I was writing movie scripts and visiting scenes hall. I think in one aspect it kind of shows that being there at Graceland it gives her a little bit of inspiration in writing too. So, but I agree. I respect that, Cam. I mean, I'm neutral on the film. I can see the good in it, and I can see the bad in it. I think the bad in it is just how a lot of fans are going to take it.
Yeah, I guess.
There's people out there who don't even like Riley because of the whole Priscilla thing.
I guess in a way I can understand why she does it too, because she knows that Graceland held a special place for her mother. So maybe that's also a way for her to reconnect with her mother.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In the strongest way possible. Her mother's there and her brother's there. Maybe maybe that's why she decided to do it like that too, because
that's
like she said, it's about my family. It's not about people. It's about my family. They lived here, they moved through here, they did things here. So maybe, if I look at it from that perspective, instead of making it really too personal for me, I am able to kind of take myself out of that for a second.
That kind of helps me to lean to the positive side of it too by thinking of it that way. But Steve has got a good point. I'm going to have to watch it a couple more times because there's a lot of little signals and things that she says in there that you got to kind of watch it a few times, I think. But the cool thing is she's almost like discussing what she talked about. Was it in the book about how they used to stay upstairs and then tourists will come? In this video you see where the tourists are coming and they're putting up the ropes. So there's kind of that connection there, and actually I think you make a good point. Yeah, she saw it as a positive too. I at least it wasn't. It wasn't like it's more like they brought ACDC there and threw him in the jungle room, let him crank out some. What the hell?
No, no. I guess and I know
Oh,
I kind of
that's a good.
I
Listen to it again, but do not watch. That's a good.
hmm, hmm.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I keep talking over you.
No, it's okay. It's kind of I don't know. I guess initially, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Initially, I took offense to it because of the place that Elvis holds in my life personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to, in that sense, as much as I try and remember that Elvis was a human being too. It's in these kind of situations that you know I immediately go to the place of, oh, that's sacrilege, that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And then at the same time I have to remember and say, but he did have family, and he did have people that cared about him. And just like we would go to our grandparents' house or to our parents' house where they grew up as kids. And you know when you look at it like that, you kind of I had to sort of say to myself, okay, no, you know take the emotion out of it, put yourself in her position in the same way as you would want to connect with a family member that's no longer there. And in that case, I can totally understand why she would do it at Graceland, because like I said, her mother's there, her father's there. They
Yeah.
grew up there.
And a brother.
Yeah. So, you know,
Yeah.
and looking at it like that kind of softens the blow for me, if I can put it like that.
Good video. I'm glad you brought that back up because I had downloaded. I had to reformat it, but that's a good video. And that Casey Kasem one, holy crap! I just knew I was going to get kicked because I got kicked that one day when I called Heavenly Presley what she is. Yeah, I really
Yeah,
confused.
but
And I said it like 4 times in a row. And that last time, I said it that last time. I said the B word. I'm not going to do it here because they probably got me. They probably got me marked for that word. But
it was
I made that word.
closer.
All of a sudden, it goes boom. It's gone.
It was closer to 7 times.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. You sure it wasn't 8 or 9? But it was.
The,
The thing about it is I got louder and louder and louder because just the fact of what she's lying and saying about me. I respected her. I don't want to get off it. I don't want to get into that. But it's just that I got to be careful with the language. And I expected Casey Kasem, the way he said the F word a couple of times, it came out like I did with the B word, and I was just picturing it going blank. Like,
yeah, you remember the first 4 times, but after the first 4 times, it was like your brain switched off.
well, I
And
remember the 7th time because that's when it went blank,
yeah.
and it was a loud one. Anyway, that's history. All that crap is history, and it's nice.
Well, I must take a moment and
Look,
welcome our distinguished guest, Mr. Brent Arnold. Uh,
damn, fell asleep, and now I see what I'm missing. Got my replay plans for tonight. Ah, I need to give you away. You need to join our WhatsApp group. You get our notification. I'll send you an alarm. Wake your ass up, man. You sleep too much.
we really need to take notes of these times. We can't afford to interfere with Brent's nap time.
Yeah, yeah.
He gets grouchy if he don't have his regular nap.
If it was midnight, he'd be there. He joins us at midnight, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he's like us, night
Yeah.
owl.
Brent says, "Yeah, I know." Well, you've missed a good one. We saw a really good Echo Will Never Die. It wasn't the one about racism. It was a very good production I've never seen before. From Casey Kasem. I'm sure you remember him, Brent. And broadcast in '84. It even had the little commercial break. He didn't do the commercials, but the breaks where they go to commercial. Very quality. It was very well quality, too, given that it was probably on VHS originally, you know?
Yeah.
Can't. Yes, Stan. Oh, that must be Stan. It being black and white helps enforce the past, the younger years. You know, I love productions in black and white if they're done well. I mean, you think of some of the best black and white movies: Young Frankenstein, King Creole, Jailhouse Rock, Love Me Tender. Silent Movie was really a hilarious movie. Young Frankenstein, I just absolutely love that movie. Anything with Gene Wilder, it was good. Anyway, I digress. Marty had hair.
Yeah, he did. That's one of the things I noticed too. Marty didn't age well.
No, he didn't. Yeah, we had a little the blooper reel from Kasem afterwards too, where he loses it with some very, very strong language. It's really funny. I'm not going to take a chance of playing that one again. Just you'll catch it on the replay.
A couple of very colorful expletive explanations.
I love it when you see these things when they finally come out after all these years, and you find out these people you respected all, and I still respect Kasem anyway. You know, it's part of life, but you know, people like that, they're so anal about things. They're so detailed and perfection, and they want things to be exactly this way or that way, and they lose it. You know, when something doesn't happen, or if it's not done because of stupidity. You know, I've heard some really good blowouts. You know.
Yeah, Susan, never hear the long distance dedication the same again.
That's good. Psycho. Schindler's Schindler's List in black and white. That was a great one. Well, yeah, Schindler's List. Rick, you need to you need to have Andrew Dice Clay sing Elvis. I don't know if I want to put Andrew Dice Clay on there. I'll have to check that out. Marty had hair. I gotta catch it. Oh yeah, that's Brent. Yeah, it was a good one today. We had the book chat. We had the book chat at 11. That went 2 hours and 15 minutes. We had the premiere of Inside the Studio. Then we had the live watch party. So next Tuesday this is where we're at for next Tuesday. So I'll catch everybody up. And like I said, join our WhatsApp group and you'll get these notifications straight to your phone. But I also post them on Facebook and the post on the YouTube posts. Okay, am I looking for? Jesus, that's all the curious stuff. Am I looking? Yeah, this is it. So this is Tuesday. Tuesday night at midnight. This is a documentary about the beginning. It's called Elvis the Beginning. It's the story. I got the stupid one up here that spells.
Elvis.
Okay, I put out the notifications with the correct spelling. I just haven't changed it in here. So don't beat me up too bad.
Okay.
The story of Elvis's first tour in 1954. It's about a little over an hour long, but I started watching a little bit, and it really looks interesting. Great interviews with all the people involved back then. I got to find out. I'll check out. I think this was done was made in 2003, but I will double check that to make sure by then. So that's that one. I haven't picked the one for next week for the documentary, so I'll take a look at that. And then the book chat will be continuing with Colonel Parker. Sunday we've got the live stream, which is tomorrow, and we'll be starting off with Careless Love, and then a few other things, and then Um, and then we wait till Tuesday. We start all over again. We've decided that we've got our schedule set for all these shows, and we're going to do the 2 book chats, the one on the Sunday stream and the one on Saturday, and we're going to do the 2 watch parties, Tuesday and Saturday, and then our premiere for the Inside the Studio is on Saturday, and so Tuesday at midnight is the watch party. So hopefully you guys can join us. We have some great chats. Obviously, the movie we just watched was only an hour long, and we've had a nice chat for another hour and 10 minutes, and some fun. Showed some little clips of stuff. A Paul Harvey clip on Elvis, which was really good. It was a good one, and I've got more. I've got lots of new other documentaries that I want to do. I double check them. I upload them first to see what kind of copyrights I have on, and then I'll edit whatever I need to edit. But so far, we've been really freaking lucky, and not getting knocked off for anything. I thought we were getting knocked off today for something in the documentary today, but we didn't. It was perfect. The echo will never die. I gotta save that one. That's a good one. So we've had a busy day. I'm gonna take a nice nap tonight, and then I'm gonna get ready for the show for tomorrow, and then get back into the week. Anybody else got anything? Let's catch up with the comments, see what we got here, and then we'll say goodbye. You've been a busy boy tonight, Satin. Yes, been a busy boy tonight, Satin. Banjo Paul is in the house. You have got the best timing of anybody.
Yeah, no.
Hey, he says.
Yeah.
Banjo Paul, you're late. You're late.
Okay, let's do it one more time.
And you missed my song. Okay, that was it.
I'll scrape the bottom of the gas tank for this one. Hey!
My God, that just pierced my cranium. You've been a busy boy today, Banjo Paul. Oh, look at Claire's with us. She could have done a similar film elsewhere, but why did she choose Graceland? It's not just a common house. We all know that, and perhaps that's why she chose to do it there. Yeah, I think it kind of adds a little mystique to it. The way the production was, it was just it was almost haunting in a way.
Yeah.
And, everything about Grayson has got a haunt to it, in a good way. I would love the opportunity just to be able to sleep down in the jungle room one night. It'll never happen. I'm lucky enough to sleep in my own room, but just to hear what happens in the house at night. Old houses like that, wind blows and it creaks. And, that house was built in 1935 or something like that? Oh, wait a minute. It was built like, I think it was built like 20 years or 15 years before he bought it. I can't remember. Anyway, I would love to have that opportunity to sleep one night in the house, in the jungle room. I wouldn't go anywhere else. I just think the jungle room would be the room to do it in. I would never, if given the opportunity, I would never want to sleep in his room. I won't. I don't even want to go in the room. I have no desire to go upstairs and go in. Never have, never will. And, it's just like, to me, it would be like when my father died. I refused to go see the body. And I've never, because my last memory of my dad is what I wanted to keep. The only time I've ever viewed a body of a relative was when my young son died, and he was premature, so he actually died in my arms, and that was my last memory of him. But it's a good memory. But otherwise, I've never had any desire to view the body, because my last memory of my father was what I wanted to keep, and it's a good memory, and so I would do that.
Yeah, I would be happy to sleep on the first step.
Inside or out?
Inside, inside, of course.
Den Four says Black Cat. Oh yeah, absolutely. Den Banjo Paul, where'd it go? Black Cat. It's the wrong hey hey Cam. See the Elvis song hey, hey. Yeah, I've got that. That's a great song. I hope they don't open the upstairs. Me too. That would piss me off if they open the upstairs. Yeah, I'm the same way. Grace is supposed to be haunted by the family prior to the Presleys. Ooh, I've never heard that. That's interesting. Kathleen, I think Riley has too much respect. I do too. You see all these stories out there, all this crap stories that the the clickbait channels
Yeah.
like to put out there, and then they'll sit there and have a live chat and discuss it for hours upon hours about bullshit, stuff like that. And is it real? Is it not? Is Elvis alive? Is he not alive? It's so stupid. But what gets me is people click on that shit.
Mhm.
I refuse to click on it. Cam, we need another hey, hey, hey. Back off a little bit. You pierced my ear, but give it. Go ahead. Give another hey, hey, hey.
Oh my goodness. Okay, do this.
Do you need Colonel Parker's physician from the Army?
Hell no. He'd get a flat one right across the cheekbone if it was if it was that now. Black cat.
Yeah, that's a comment.
Oh
1939. Thank you, Den, for it was 1939 when Graceland was built.
yeah, somewhere there.
All right, Banjo wants a hey, 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 Graceland.
Oh my goodness.
Kathleen, I think Riley has too much. Banjo, I'm camping on the grass outside Graceland when I go.
Yeah, I'd sleep in the guard shack.
That'd be cool.
I'd be happy to sleep in the guard shack.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that want. You know what really pisses me off is when I hear the stories of people jumping the rope and running upstairs and security catching. I heard one time somebody actually got to the door, but those doors are locked. Oh, and you know what I heard too, and I believe this is probably clickbait, but I think this is bullshit. I saw it, in the title of it says that Riley has officially changed the locks upstairs so that Priscilla can't get him. Now, why would Priscilla get into the house anyways? Why would she have permission? She doesn't have rights to that house. But
No.
that's one of these stories that are out there. But it's so stupid. That's the stuff that just drives me batty. All these stories where people getting pissed because somebody made a remark 45 years ago or 30 years ago. Banjo, did you take some grass home, planted in your garden? No, he smoked it. Riley was the best person. Riley was the best person for Lisa Marie to leave. You're dead. That's a wrong word. You're exactly right, man. Sorry about that. That was stupid. Yeah, sleep on the kitchen floor. I would do that. I would sleep anywhere downstairs or down in the jungle room or downstairs. Actually, it'd be kind of cool to sleep right near where the piano that was the last place he played. I filmed one time Elvis Week on the ground. Security told me to turn off my video. Yeah, the last time I was there was 2014 or 15 was the last time I was at Graceland. And it was a friend of mine that come down from Connecticut. So her, my wife, and me we drove up to Graceland, which is only 6 hours from here. And Tupelo, we stopped off at Tupelo, spent the night there, toured Tupelo and all that. And once again, I failed to go see Tupelo Hardware. I don't know why I never did that. And I kick myself in the butt every time I think of it. But when we went to Graceland, my friend, she had her cell phone with her. And she picked her cell phone up to take a picture of something in the house. And the lady there, the guide, grabbed her phone out of her hand. She says, delete it. Made her delete the picture. I
Yeah.
like really, but then I see Olga got a lot of good pictures. It may have been the location we were at. The one thing they have an issue with, which makes sense, is they don't like flash photography in the area of place things that where flash and lights can do damage to things. If they were letting people take a lot of flash photography over a period of time, that'll fade out, fabric and paperwork and all that. They keep
Mhm.
those things in climate controlled areas.
Environments, yeah.
Yeah, environment. Thank you. Den for you. Mine was in 2022. Yeah, there's so much more there that I just wish I could go see. I want to meet Angie Marchese. I think she's got the best job in the world. She's
Uh-huh.
she's in charge of all the archives. Yes, great idea, Purple Green. I'd plant the grass in my garden, put a candle next to it. Wow, that's a pretty cool idea.
Mm.
Hmm. I'd love to tiptoe in his bedroom. Here we go. I'm afraid to read this for Benzo Paul. I'd love to tiptoe in his bedroom just to be close, but only if I was the last person in the world. Unlikely to happen to me. Thanks. I don't know what sometimes he comes up with some stuff that's just like outside doesn't damage. That's where I was. They were. If you know what I mean, Rick. Yeah. No, you don't. They don't damage anything outside. But I tell you what, you could really see when I was there. There was a lot of repairs that needed to be done. A lot of the woodwork in the front door, where people were banging it when they were going. When a lot of people were going in, they'd bang it with their bags, or a couple, because that door really isn't very wide. It's 36 inches, and you get a couple of people trying to go in at the same time or right behind each other. The whole jam and everything was just nicked up and banged up, and it needed a coat of paint. I'm sure that's all they do is patch, because if you start changing the woodwork, you're starting to change, the structure, and it's just not the same. Wow, interesting conversation. We went from Riley, we went from from Casey Kasem Kirsten to you know Priscilla being buried at Graceland. Nope, nada. But it's going to happen somewhere. Plenty of field out there in the back. Front door creaks when open. Yeah, it was open when we went through. It was a late spring when we went. It was rather warm, but that house has got character, man, and you can get goosebumps all through that house.
Yeah, I think if the walls could talk, there, I would love to be a fly on any one of those walls.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, we had fun, like the monsters. Denver used this. Um, Great video. Enjoyed it. I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank everybody for sharing. Great chat afterwards. Some interesting topics. Some topics that I usually don't get into, but at least we did it respectfully and shared our viewpoints. Bringing up Priscilla isn't you, you know isn't untouchable. I mean, I don't mind bringing her up and talking about her. But when I don't do that, people could assume that I'm a Priscilla lover just because I don't talk about her, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. So for Caroline and Jane who are watching, probably, that's all BS. So,
And yet again, the question asks, as much as people like and don't like, or whatever the case may be, she's pivotal to Elvis's story. And at the end of the day, so what if people like her? So what if people
yeah,
don't like her?
I don't
It's
care.
really that they have to justify or validate themselves according to whether somebody else you don't know from a bar or so likes somebody that you're probably never ever going to meet in your life.
You know
what
this
you what
this.
what those people know about her is based on opinion anyway. So
Yeah, yeah. This is my viewpoint about all these channels that talk about Priscilla or talk about the negative stuff of Elvis. I don't care what they talk about. I really don't. I could care less what their channels do. I'm not going to watch them, but it's I don't have a right to tell anybody that they need to shut their channel down or what. The only time I ever care is when I'm physically attacked. So, or when basically that's it. I could care less. Watch or listen to whatever you want to. My channel, I focus on the positive. Elvis is the positive. The music is the positive. This stuff we do today in our conversation is the positive. Sometimes a little negativity is talked about, but it's not addressed in a way where we sit here and spit and tell people you're stupid for thinking that way or whatever. You're wrong. You're not an Elvis fan or whatever. So I love doing this, and we say this every time. We've got the best viewers on this channel, I think. Everybody's positive,
Yeah.
and when we get it, I watch. We had and I love it. And some of you were part of this. This is going to be every Saturday too. 3 shows until one of us conk out, or we may take sleeping rotations. But when we have our live chats and we talk afterwards or even during this show, we had one show the other day. The group was getting into a discussion of Colombo, and I love Colombo, and I love the fact that you guys are welcome to talk about whatever you want. We're a group of Elvis fans, and that doesn't mean that we can only have to talk about Elvis.
No.
No, we're Elvis fans sharing a community, and that's how I view this channel. And I express my viewpoints on a lot of things, and I don't expect everybody to accept my viewpoints. But I do expect at least that you respect what I view, just like I will do the same thing for you. So,
Yeah,
you're right, Brent. Talking about Elvis is defending Elvis if we're talking about him in a positive way. We're defending his legacy. And that's what we would do. In my description of my channel, it's been the same description since I started. We defend the legacy. It's all about talking about the legacy of Elvis. And it will always be that. So, Cam and I value everyone that's on here. Some, a lot of you come regularly. Some come when you can. We love seeing y'all. It's just like today. We saw Michael, who we ain't seen for a while. I love seeing him. But we also understand that people got lives that Cam and I are available. We're very flexible, so we could do this on a regular basis. There's other people that can pop in all the time. And there's some people can own. That's why we try to be flexible and shift things around. And I'm using a lot of sign language here. Shift things around and try to do different times so at least people can come at different times. It's like Purple Green. She can't really, if she wants to join our live stream on Sunday, it's got to be 3 a.m. But the nice thing about these streams that we did today, it afforded her the opportunity to be able to join us. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to accommodate everybody. The amount of we're up to 23 views, and we've been done. We started 2.5 hours ago. We've been done with the movie an hour and a half, and we love it. We love having you all join us. I'm sure there's a few out there that are spies, and you guys are very welcome to join in the conversation. We love it. Maybe you'll find out the truth about me and my channel by hanging around, watching some of my videos. Elvis plus Rick, Leon, Steve, and I were here first. Ha, 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 ha. Okay. Well, out of that list, I'm the last one. Leon, Steve, and you were there before me, so I guess I'm the bottom. You know what? I bat cleanup. I was the 4th one. I bat cleanup. I hit a grand slam. Purple Green. I wish I could tell you my experience. Well, if it's on the subject of what we don't want to talk about, I'd prefer not to. If you want to share your experience, Purple Green, you can send it to me in email, but I don't want to discuss any of that on this channel. That's That's not to be discussed anymore. You know, everybody, I think, understands that. That's right, Brent. Oh no, another show on. Dear me, overlapping. Is there another show on tonight? Not by me. All right, guys, listen. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, live stream, coffee date with Elvis fans. We're getting started on Careless Love, a really very thick book, but it's as thick as Last Train in Memphis. So we're not gonna take as long on this one as the other one, because actually this is a bit of a sad book in a lot of ways. It starts off with the death of Gladys, and then of course it takes us to the death of Elvis. So there's a lot of stuff that's discussed in here that I really don't like discussing. So, but we'll discuss it. It's part of Elvis. It's Elvis. And then when we're finished on our book, you know what? Let's get over here so we can see. So this is the book that we'll continue with next Saturday on the book club, book chat. We're about a third of the way through. And then after that one, this one's going to be real quick. I'm going to just do this is Colonel's life from birth on up. And so I want to cover the year 2 when he lands in the country, and then maybe just kind of discuss a few of the points that are a little bit different than what we've learned in this book. This book is what Colonel was based on in the movie Elvis. They bought the rights to that. Then this one, and then we're going to get the Greg McDonald book and discuss that. That's an interesting book. There's a lawsuit going on that, and I got to really find the information on that. There's some videos out there that discuss it, and I'm going to see if I can find some of that information. If they can get documents, I can get documents. Freedom of Information Act, I can get the same thing. Go to your trade. Oh, I know what you mean, Kathleen. Peace, Denver. I can't sit anymore today. My butt's going to sleep. That's Kathleen. As you guys have noticed, the live streams, I love doing the live streams and all that, but I was in the habit of sitting up for the longest period of time. Well, my legs would fall asleep and they start hurting. I said, the heck with it. I'm just going to get in my recliner, kick back, put my feet up, put my blue pillow so it blends in with the background, and just do it this way. You guys don't care, do you? Susan, thank you for that. It's a great group. I'm humbled to be on this journey with you, my friends. We're going to be doing a lot of books, a lot of documentaries. I'm going to start getting back to popping up some of my little short videos and a few other things. Cam and I, we've been talking about this for 6 months, but we're going to do our breakdown of American Trilogy between 4 shows, and Cam's going to laugh at the house. I told you he was going to laugh about that. I've got it all laid out and ready to go. But it's being able to it has to be recorded and done, and it's a little bit different format. Shut the hell up.
Well, if we hold out a little bit longer, we might make it at my 60th birthday.
Cam looks like he's flying a plane.
I feel like it.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, we got to get it done. I got it laid. That's going to be a great comparison. 4 American Trilogy live versions. We're going to do a comparison. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to take Elvis's voice out. I've already done all that. I gotta sync a couple things, and then Cam and I can just record it. So anyway, we're comparing the Elvis on tour, Aloha from Hawaii. We're comparing the Memphis. And we're comparing Madison Square Garden's American Trilogy. We're comparing all 4 of those. 72, 74, 73. 72 is, yeah, something like that. Anyway.
72,
so
73,
that's going to be cool. You guys have seen my breakdowns before. You need to hear Elvis's Shake a Hand live. I have heard that. That's great. All right, Kathleen, thank you. We've had a great day with everybody. I was kind of nervous about doing this today with a lot of stuff in between, but for me it worked out pretty good. Cam had a little issue with his sound card, but he got that resolved. But at least it's at least it's all during the middle of the day, and we're able to relax, and I could rest a little bit here, and then get tomorrow's show done. We only got one show tomorrow, then we got almost 3 days of rest. Camps. What are you doing?
What's that? Can you eat it?
What's that?
Rest.
Rest. That's Monday. No, nothing. That's almost. Well, it's actually for me. It's all day Tuesday because it starts at midnight, which is actually Wednesday morning for me. So, and then half the day on. Well, I'll take my 6-hour nap after the stream on Sunday. All right, guys, it's time we go. Valerie, we've seen your breakdowns. Yeah. Elvis's last song, American Trilogy, 1977. Really? I didn't.
No.
I didn't realize he sang it that late into. Let me take a look. Sorry, guys. We never say goodbye when we say goodbye. You're right. He only sang it once in 1977, June 2nd, Municipal Auditorium, Mobile, Alabama. I need to see if that's. I'll tell you what. It'll tell me right here. It is on a disc released in 2009. It's an audience recording, so you don't tell them what it's like. But I'll check that out because I think the first recording is available. All right. Bye, Purple Green. The last farewell again. Valerie, goodbye. Everybody, goodbye. Have a good one. TCB, thank you all. We've had a blast.
Thank you, guys.